My granddaughter found my old police badge in my son's safe on a Thursday afternoon. Not in a memory box, not in the attic, not wrapped in one of my wife's old scarves with photographs, funeral programs, and the other harmless little relics families keep because throwing them away feels too honest. In my son's safe, inside a sealed evidence bag, with a case number I had spent 30 years pretending not to remember. That was the first problem. The second problem was that my granddaughter, 15 years old, and still young enough to believe adults hid birthday gifts instead of crimes, brought it to me in the kitchen while my son and daughter-in-law were arguing in the den about whether I was stable enough to keep control of my own bank accounts. The third problem was the name written on the faded evidence tag, Mara Ellis. Most people in that house had never heard that name. I had heard it once from a woman screaming outside a police station in 1994 while I stood 10 feet away, wearing the badge now lying in my granddaughter's hands. I looked at the badge, then at the evidence tag, then at my granddaughter. And for the first time in 30 years, I understood something simple. The past does not stay buried because you loved your family. It stays buried because no one innocent has found the shovel yet. "Grandpa," Lily said, holding the bag by its corner like it might bite her, "why does Dad have your police badge?" My son went silent in the den. So did his wife. That was how I knew they already knew the answer. I took the evidence bag from Lily's hand. My fingers shook, not from age. Age gets blamed for many things it did not start. The badge inside was tarnished, scratched near the eagle, still bent along the lower edge from the night I said I lost it in a fire. I had not lost it. I had planted it. A good lie has weight. A great lie has paperwork. And for 30 years, I had been a very good liar. My name is Walter Brennan. I am 74 years old. I have one son, one granddaughter, a dead wife, a paid-off house, 2 replaced knees, and a pension from the Chicago Police Department that arrives every month like the past still believes I served honorably. For 27 years, people called me Detective Brennan. After retirement, they called me Mr. Brennan. After my wife died, my son started calling me Dad in that soft voice men use when they are preparing to take control of something. Soft voices are dangerous. Nobody whispers unless they know volume will make the truth visible. My son's name is Mark. He was 46 then. Good haircut, bad marriage, expensive watch. The kind of man who said cash flow problem when he meant debt, and temporary setback when he meant something had collapsed because he had built it wrong. His wife, Claire, was worse. I do not say that because she was cold. Cold can be useful. Ice preserves things. Claire was controlled. There is a difference. Cold people keep distance because they feel too much. Controlled people keep distance because they are measuring where to cut. She worked in compliance for a private medical billing firm, which suited her. Claire believed anything could be justified if it had a form number. She once denied a neighbor's fundraiser request because the diagnosis was emotionally framed but insufficiently documented. That was when I knew Mark had married a clipboard. After my wife, Ellen, died, Mark said it made sense for him, Claire, and Lily to move into the house for a while. For a while is the favorite phrase of people backing a truck into your life. At first, I let it happen because grief makes a man generous in stupid ways. The house was too quiet without Ellen. I missed the kettle screaming in the morning because she refused to buy an electric one. I missed her slippers near the back door. I missed the way she said my name when I was about to lie to myself. So when Lily came into the house with her school bag, her books, her messy hair, her questions, I told myself the noise was healing. It was not. It was occupation with a family discount. Small changes came first. The dining room became Claire's remote work area. My tool bench in the basement was cleared because Mark needed storage. Ellen's sewing room became Lily's bedroom, which I did not mind. Ellen would have liked that. Then Claire began organizing my mail. Mark began helping with online banking. My doctor appointments moved onto Claire's calendar. My pension statements stopped coming in paper. My old police files, the few I had kept for reasons I never admitted, were boxed and taken to the garage. People do not steal a life all at once. They rearrange it until you cannot find where you left yourself. Still, I tolerated it. For Lily. That is what I told myself. Lily was the good thing. 15 years old, sharp, quiet when adults were performing, too observant for her own safety. She had Ellen's eyes and my bad habit of asking one more question than the room wanted. She and I had a ritual. Every Thursday after school, she came into the kitchen, dropped her bag by the pantry, and asked me one question she said nobody else would answer honestly. Some weeks it was harmless. Did Grandma ever swear? Constantly, I told her, just with better timing. Some weeks it was harder. Why does Dad laugh different when Mom's in the room? Because fear changes a man's throat, I wanted to say. Instead, I said, adults have different laughs. She did not believe me. Smart girl. Too smart. On the Thursday she found the badge, Lily had been looking for her passport. There was a school trip to Toronto coming up. Claire said the passport was in Mark's safe because important documents belong in one protected location. That is how Claire talked. Not in the safe, in one protected location. A woman like that could make theft sound like urban planning. Mark was at work. Claire was on a call. Lily knew the safe code because Mark used her birthday. That told you everything about my son. He loved his daughter. He was also lazy about security. Lily opened the safe, found passports, insurance papers, old tax records, a velvet pouch with jewelry Claire never wore, and behind those things, a sealed plastic evidence bag. Inside was my badge. She brought it downstairs, and the house stopped pretending. Mark came home 20 minutes later because Claire called him in the den with a voice so low I could not hear the words, only the shape of panic. He walked into the kitchen still wearing his office coat. Claire followed him. Lily stood beside me, arms folded, no longer holding the badge because I had placed it on the table between us. That was deliberate. Evidence belongs on tables. Secrets belong in hands. Mark looked at the bag. His face went pale, not surprised. Caught. There is a difference, and I had spent my life being paid to see it. Where did you get that? He asked. Lily answered before I could. You're safe, Claire said. Lily, you had no right to go through private materials. Lily looked at her. You told me to get my passport. That didn't mean digging. I didn't dig. It was behind the passports. Claire's mouth tightened. A small thing. Important. She had not known exactly where Mark had hidden it. Good. Division is the first mercy truth offers. I looked at Mark. How long have you had it? He stared at the badge. Dad? No, he flinched. I had not used that tone in years, the old detective voice. Flat. Quiet. Built for rooms where somebody had died and somebody else was getting ready to lie. How long? Mark swallowed. After Mom died. 3 years. 3 years that badge had sat in my son's safe like a loaded gun with my name engraved on the barrel. Claire stepped closer to the table. Walter, we need to discuss this calmly. We are calm. I mean privately. No, Lily said. Everyone looked at her. My granddaughter did not move. If it has Grandma's stuff and Grandpa's badge and Dad's safe, then I'm not leaving. Claire's eyes sharpened. Lily, no. That one word changed the room. It had taken Mark 46 years, and he still had not learned how to say it. Lily said it like she had been born with steel under her tongue. Mark took off his coat and laid it over a chair. Bad sign. Men remove coats when they think a conversation may become permanent. Dad, he said. I didn't know what it was at first. That is already a lie. His mouth closed. Good. Saves time when they learn early. Claire sat across from me. She did not touch the badge. Smart woman. I found references after Ellen died, she said. I looked at her. You found references. In her files. That hit harder than I expected. Ellen's files. My wife had kept files like other women kept recipes. Bank records, medical bills, warranties, insurance forms, birthday cards, receipts from trips we never took again, but she could not throw away because once you love a moment, even its receipt feels alive. What files? Claire glanced at Mark. He looked at the floor. Of course he did. The floor had always been my son's favorite witness, Claire answered. There was a letter. My hand tightened on the edge of the table. Lily noticed. Bless her and damn her, she noticed everything. What letter? Lily asked. Claire ignored her. Ellen wrote it before she passed. She said if anything happened to her, or if you began changing legal documents suddenly, we should look into Mara Ellis. There it was. My dead wife had left the room and still managed to turn on the light. Mara Ellis, 19 years old, dark hair, missing since October 1994. Last seen leaving a diner on Archer Avenue with a man nobody could describe clearly enough to be useful. I knew the man. That was the point. Mara had been dating Ellen's younger brother, Patrick. Patrick was charming in the way weak men sometimes are before life asks anything difficult of them. He played guitar badly, borrowed money well, and believed every woman who loved him was responsible for his weather. Mara disappeared after a fight with him. Her mother came to the station every week for 6 months, sometimes with flyers, sometimes with coffee, sometimes with nothing but a face that made honest men look away. I was not an honest man that year. Not after Patrick came to me shaking, saying there had been an accident. Not after I saw Mara's purse in his car. Not after I found blood on the edge of the trunk mat. Not after Ellen stood in our kitchen and said, "If Patrick goes down, my mother dies with him." People think corruption starts with money. Sometimes it starts with a woman you love asking you to save the wrong person. I did not kill Mara Ellis. That is what I told myself for 30 years. A coward's comfort. A technical innocence. I moved evidence. I buried a badge. I redirected interviews. And worse than that, I found a witness. His name was Eddie Sloan, a night janitor at the diner across from Archer Avenue. He had seen Mara get into Patrick's car that night. Not clearly enough for court, maybe. Clearly enough for truth. He came to me 3 days after Mara vanished, hat in his hands, smelling of bleach and fear. "I don't want trouble," he said. But I saw her. I told him memory was unreliable after midnight. I told him a man with 2 unpaid parking warrants and a drunk driving charge should be very careful about inserting himself into an active investigation. I never raised my voice. That was the worst part. Threats sound cleaner when they wear a badge. Eddie Sloan left my office pale and quiet. 2 weeks later, his statement disappeared from the working file. 6 months later, he moved to Indiana. 8 years later, Ruth Ellis died, believing her daughter had run away from shame or recklessness or some private failure of character. I did not kill Mara Ellis. That is what I told myself for 30 years. A coward's comfort, a technical innocence. But I made sure the people who loved her never had enough truth to grieve her properly. Sometimes murder ends a life. Sometimes paperwork keeps killing it. Lily looked from me to the badge. "Grandpa," she said, softer now, "who is Mara Ellis?" No one answered. That was the answer. Claire leaned back. "Walter, here is where we are. Mark and I have no interest in destroying you." That meant she did. People do not announce mercy unless they are pricing it. Claire opened the leather folder she had brought into my kitchen. That was when I saw the tabs. Trust revision, medical off reversion, financial management, captees review. People think knives are frightening because they shine. Paper is worse. Paper waits until your hands are tired. Claire slid the first document toward me with 2 fingers. "We don't need drama," she said. "We need structure." I looked at the signature line. My full legal name was already typed beneath it, Walter James Brennan. There is something intimate about seeing your name prepared for surrender. "What is this?" "A temporary financial management agreement." There's that word again. What word? Temporary. It's the word people use when they want to steal slowly. Mark rubbed his face. "Dad, it's just until things stabilize. Your mother died 3 years ago. Your business failed twice. Your wife is holding evidence from a missing girl's case in my kitchen. Which part are we waiting to stabilize?" Claire did not blink. "That is exactly why we need this signed today." Lily stepped closer to the table. "Signed today?" Claire's voice softened. The softening made it worse. "Sweetheart, Grandpa is under stress. This protects everyone." Lily looked at the document, then at me, then at her father. "Why does protecting everyone always mean Grandpa loses something?" Mark opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Claire answered for him. "Because adults sometimes have to make practical decisions before emotions ruin everything." That was Claire's philosophy in one sentence. Practicality as a mask, emotion as the crime. I picked up the document. On page 3, beneath a paragraph about medical judgment, was a sentence I read twice. Subject has demonstrated fixation on unresolved criminal allegations and may require supervised decision-making. There it was. Not just money, not just a house. They were building a cage with my own guilt as the lock. I looked at Claire. You were going to have me declared unstable. She smiled without warmth. No, Walter, you were going to give us the chance not to, she continued. Your finances are messy. Your house is still solely in your name. Your pension, the trust, the medical directives. If this old case comes out before we fix those things, the state could freeze assets, attorneys could swarm, and Lily could lose the one secure home she has left. There it was, not greed, a philosophy. Claire always did her worst work in clean sentences. You're blackmailing me with a dead girl and calling it estate planning, I said. Her expression did not change. I'm saying you protected your family once by controlling the truth. I'm doing the same thing. That one landed. I hated that it landed. She saw it and pressed. You men call it love when you bury crimes for sons and brothers. But when a woman protects a household with paperwork, suddenly she's evil. Mark whispered. Claire. She did not look at him. Am I wrong, Walter? The terrible thing about a good enemy is not that they lie well. It is that they find the part of the truth you hoped no one would touch. No, I said. You're not wrong enough. Lily stepped back. That hurt. Not the movement, the instinct behind it. She was putting distance between herself and all of us. Claire turned to her. Lily, this is adult business. No, Lily said. This is my family lying with better vocabulary. I nearly smiled. Ellen would have loved that line. Claire did not. Mark finally spoke. Dad, sign the revised trust. Put the house into family control. Let me handle the accounts for now. We'll keep this quiet. No one needs to get hurt. That was my son. Still thinking silence meant no one was bleeding. I looked at him. Where is Ellen's letter? He hesitated. Claire answered. Safe deposit box. Which bank? Bank? Walter? Which bank? Mark closed his eyes. North State, of course. Ellen and I had opened that box in 1989 for insurance papers and her mother's pearls. I had forgotten about it. Ellen had not. Dead women remember more than living men prefer. I stood, slowly. My knees complained. My hip complained. My pride, which had caused most of this, finally had the decency to shut up. We're going to the bank, Claire said. No. There was that word again. Useful word. Dangerous word. I picked up the evidence bag. You have spent 3 years holding my badge like a knife. Now we are going to see what else my wife left behind. Mark stepped in front of me. Not aggressively. Worse. Pleadingly. Dad, please, think about Lily. I looked past him at my granddaughter. She was staring at me now with something new in her face. Not hate, not fear, evaluation. That was worse. Children can forgive what they do not understand. They cannot unsee what adults explain too well. I am thinking about Lily, I said. Claire laughed softly. No, Walter, you are thinking about confession because old men get sentimental when time runs out. She stood. You confess now, and what happens? Mara's mother is dead. Patrick is dead. Ellen is dead. You lose the pension. Mark loses his job. Lily loses the house. A dead girl stays dead, and everyone living pays for your need to feel clean. A strong argument. Ugly, but strong. That was why Claire scared me. She did not defend sin. She itemized consequences until sin looked practical. Lily spoke. What happened to Mara's mother? No one looked at her, so she asked again. What happened to her mother? I answered. Her name was Ruth Ellis. She came to the station every week. She died 8 years later. Did she know? No. Lily looked at the badge, then at me. Did you look at her when she came in? I wanted to lie. Small lie. Merciful lie. Pointless lie. Yes, and you knew. Yes. Her eyes filled. She did not cry. That made it worse. Then don't say you're thinking about me. My son flinched. Claire went still. Lily turned to her father. Mark looked almost relieved for half a second. Poor man. He thought the question had passed him. It had not. And you, Lily said. His face changed. Lino, don't do that. Do what? Say my name like it makes you innocent. The kitchen went still. Claire looked at Lily with open warning now, but Lily did not look at her. She looked only at Mark. You found the badge after Grandma died? Mark swallowed. Yes, you knew it was connected to Mara Ellis. I knew it might be. And instead of calling someone, you put it in your safe. I was scared. Lily nodded slowly. I watched something inside her rearrange itself. Not break. Rearrange. That's what everyone keeps saying, she said. Grandpa was scared. You were scared. Mom is scared about money. Grandma was scared for her brother. Her voice trembled once, then steadied. Does anybody in this family knows how to be scared without turning it into someone else's punishment? No one answered. Because the girl had put her finger on the family disease. Fear had been our inheritance. We had passed it down wrapped as protection. Mark sat down like his knees had quit. I'm sorry, he whispered. Lily looked at him. No, Dad, you're sorry because I found it. That one landed harder than any slap. Mark covered his face, Claire said. Lily, that is cruel. Lily turned to her. No. Cruel is hiding a dead girl in a safe and calling it family business. Claire's face changed. For the first time, her control looked like work. I picked up the phone. Claire moved. Fast. Too fast. She grabbed the evidence bag before I could lift it. For 1 second, we both held it. Old man. Controlled woman. Tarnished metal. 30 years of rot inside plastic. Let go, I said. Her voice dropped. You will destroy this family. No, I said. I already did. You're just trying to inherit the ruins. Mark reached for Claire. She jerked away from him. Don't touch me. There she was. The real marriage. The one under the holiday cards. I let go of the bag. She stumbled back with it. Lily gasped. Claire smiled. Small mistake. Victorious people reveal themselves too early. Now, Claire said, we are going to sit down, call the Leonard Price, and draft something sensible. A knock sounded at the back door. 3 clean taps. Everybody froze. Not the front door, the back. People who knock at the back door either know the family or know exactly what kind of trouble has entered. Lily moved before anyone else. She opened it. A woman in her late 60s stood on the porch, wearing a dark green coat and holding a leather folder. Behind her stood a younger man with a messenger bag. Walter Brennan? She asked. I knew her before she said her name. Not her face, her eyes. Mara's eyes aged into something harder. I'm Helen Ellis, she said. Mara was my sister. Claire's fingers tightened around the evidence bag. For the first time that day, she looked genuinely surprised. Good. No plan survives the person it forgot was alive. Helen looked at the badge in Claire's hands, then at me, then at Lily. I received a letter from your wife 3 years ago, she said. She told me not to open it unless this family contacted an attorney about the house. Ellen, my dead wife, had not left a light on. She had wired the whole room. Helen stepped into the kitchen. The younger man behind her introduced himself as a private investigator named Cole Mercer. I knew the name. Former state police. Clean record. Expensive. The kind of man widows hire when grief has outlived official patience. Helen placed her folder on the table. She said you would deny it until a child found something metal. Lily looked at me. Something in my chest collapsed. Ellen had known. Not guessed. Known. Claire recovered quickly. This is absurd. You can't just walk into someone's home. Helen glanced at the evidence bag. That's interesting, considering you're holding police evidence from my sister's case. Claire's mouth closed. Cole Mercer took a photograph of the bag. Claire snapped. You do not have permission. Cole looked at me. Mr. Brennan? My house. My crime. My turn. He has permission. Claire turned to Mark. Do something. Mark looked at her, then at me, then at Lily. For a moment, I saw the child he had been, standing in the hallway after breaking a lamp, waiting to see which parent would rescue him from truth. He did nothing. Not bravery. Not yet. But in our family, inaction had done enough damage. That day, it helped. Helen opened the folder. Inside was Ellen's letter. My wife's handwriting. Small, firm, beautiful in a way that made my throat hurt. Walter, if you are reading this, then the house has become leverage. That means Claire found enough to frighten you. Or Mark found enough to disappoint you. Or both. I know about Mara. I have known since 1994. I knew when you came home that night and washed your hands 3 times. I knew when Patrick stopped saying her name. I knew when you told me your badge was lost in the warehouse fire and could not look at me while saying it. I stayed because I was weak where my brother was concerned. You stayed quiet because you were weak where I was concerned. We called it family. It was cowardice with photographs on the wall. If Mark or Claire tries to use this secret, call Helen Ellis. I sent her copies of what I had. Not all of it. Enough. Do not save this family with another lie. Save Lily with the truth. Elle and I sat down. Not dramatically. My legs simply decided they had carried enough years. Claire read the letter over my shoulder. Her face hardened. She had no right. I looked up. My wife had every right to stop being loyal to a crime. Helen looked at me. Did you move evidence? Yes. The word came out fast. Too fast to be noble. I was not confessing because I had become good. I was confessing because the room had finally run out of places for me to hide. Helen's jaw tightened. Did Patrick kill her? I don't know. Her face changed. That was worse than yes. I think he did, I said. I knew enough to open the case wider. Instead, I narrowed it until it fit the lie. Why? I looked at Ellen's letter, then at Lily, then at Mark, because I loved my wife more than I loved a dead girl's mother. Helen slapped me, hard, clean. Nobody moved. Even Claire had the sense to stay silent. My cheek burned. Good. Some punishments arrive too late and still know where to land. Lily whispered, Grandpa. I did not look at her. Not yet. Helen stepped back, breathing hard. For 30 years, she said. My mother believed Mara ran away because she was ashamed. She died wondering what she had done wrong. I know. No, you don't. Fair. No criminal ever fully knows the crime from the victim's side. We know the act. They know the weather after. Cole Mercer set a small recorder on the table. Mr. Brennan, I need to ask whether you are willing to make a formal statement. Claire laughed. Sharp. This is insane. Walter is elderly. Under emotional distress. This would never hold. She turned to me. You think this makes you decent? You are doing exactly what men like you always do. You burn the house down and call the smoke honesty. Another good line. I hated her talent. No, I said. I'm opening the windows. That is not enough. No, I reached for the badge. This time Claire did not stop me. I placed it on the table in front of Helen Ellis. That is not forgiveness, I said. That is evidence. Helen stared at the badge, then at me. You don't get to decide what it becomes. No, I said. I don't. The next 3 weeks were not cinematic. Truth rarely is. Truth is interviews in rooms with bad coffee. Truth is signatures. Truth is retired men pretending not to remember until a prosecutor reminds them. Perjury has no age limit. Truth is reporters calling at dinner. Truth is Mark losing his job after his employer learned he had hidden evidence tied to a reopened missing person case. Truth is Claire hiring an attorney who used the phrase misunderstood protective action until the prosecutor found the email where she wrote, if Walter refuses the transfer, the badge gives us leverage. Truth is Lily not coming downstairs for breakfast for 6 days. The Mara Ellis case reopened. Patrick was dead by then. Liver failure at 59. A coward's exit, unpaid and unattended. But dead men leave echoes. Cole Mercer found old photographs from Patrick's storage unit. Mara's scarf, a diner receipt, a Polaroid with her in Patrick's car, dated the night she disappeared. None of it brought her back. All of it proved I had lied. I gave my formal statement on a Tuesday. Of course it was a Tuesday. Bad news prefers weekdays. The prosecutor was young enough to be my granddaughter's teacher and old enough to know pity was not part of the job. She asked the questions. I answered. Yes, I removed my badge from the scene. Yes, I altered my report. Yes, I redirected a witness statement. Yes, I pressured Eddie Sloan until he withdrew what he saw. Yes, I told another detective Mara had probably left town. Yes, I accepted commendations later from the same department whose case I had poisoned. Yes, yes, yes. Every yes was a shovel of dirt coming off a grave I had dug myself. When it was over, Helen Ellis sat across from me in the hallway. She held the badge in her lap inside the evidence bag. You wore this? She asked. For 27 years. Did it ever feel heavy? I thought about lying. Habit is not easily killed. No, I said. That was the problem. She nodded once, then stood and walked away. Mark came to see me the night before the court hearing. He found me in the kitchen. The house was quieter than it had ever been, and not in the peaceful way. Claire had moved out 2 days earlier, not because she was ashamed, because strategy had failed and she preferred cleaner losses. Lily was at a friend's house, though I suspected that was my sister Ruth's idea. Ruth had a talent for removing children before adults started bleeding words. Mark stood by the doorway. No tie, no watch, no clever vocabulary, just my son, looking like a man who had discovered inheritance could include rot. "Dad," he said, "I should have told you when I found it." Yes, I was scared. Yes, I thought if Claire handled it, maybe it would just become paperwork. I looked at him. That sentence is the family disease. He sat across from me. I'm sorry. I believed him. That did not change much. "Do you know what Lily asked me?" I said. He shook his head. "She asked how she could know I wouldn't lie for her too." He looked down. "She asked me something too." "What?" "She asked if our family knows how to love anyone without hiding something." That one hurt him. Good. Some questions should. "What did you say?" He swallowed. I said I didn't know. For once, my son gave the right answer. The hearing was short. Old misconduct, obstruction, evidence tampering, pension review, public disgrace dressed in legal language. The judge did not give a speech. I was grateful. Judges enjoy moral clarity because they meet people after the damage has been organized. I pled guilty to what could still be charged, lost the pension supplement, paid fines, community service, public record. The department removed my photograph from the retired detective's wall. That one made the papers. Former Detective Adamitsfor in 1994 missing woman cover-up. They used a photo of me from 1988. A younger man, better jaw, cleaner eyes. The internet did what the internet does. Called me monster. Called me hero for confessing. Called me boomer. Called me fake. Strangers are very confident with lives they did not have to live. Helen Ellis did not speak to reporters. That made her the only dignified person in the story. After court, I walked down the steps with Lily beside me. She had insisted on coming. I told her she did not need to. She said, "I know." That was all. Across the courtyard, Helen Ellis stood by a black car. I walked toward her, not because I wanted to, because some roads only go one direction once you stop lying. I carried the badge. The prosecutor had released it for transfer to the family after documentation. It sat in a fresh evidence sleeve now. Cleaner plastic, same dirty metal. Helen watched me approach. Lily stayed 3 steps behind, close enough to see, far enough to decide. I handed Helen the badge. No speech first, no request, no performance, just my hand giving back the medal I had hidden behind for 30 years. Helen looked at it for a long time. Then she said, "My mother would have thrown this at you. She would have been right." Helen put the badge in her purse, not gently. Good. I had no right to gentleness. Then she took out a small folded paper and handed it to me. A photocopy, not the original. Even mercy, when wise, keeps boundaries. It was a picture Mara had drawn as a child. A little house, a yellow door, a girl holding a dog on a leash. On the back, in careful handwriting, were the words, "I want to come home." Helen said she drew that when she was 8. My mother kept it on the refrigerator until the day she died. I stared at the words. I want to come home, a child's wish, a woman's fate, a detective's failure. "I don't deserve this," I said. "No," Helen said. "You don't. Keep the copy anyway." "Why?" "So when you start feeling brave about confessing, you remember what was stolen before your courage arrived." Then she got into the car. Lily and I stood there until it drove away. On the ride home, she said nothing. That was fine. Silence from a child is not empty. It is construction. When we got back, I went to the den, my den, or what remained of it. Claire's files were gone, Mark's laptop gone. My old chair still in the corner under the blanket. I pulled the blanket off. Dust rose. I sat down. Lily stood in the doorway. "Grandpa." "Yes?" "I don't know if I forgive you." I closed my eyes. There it was, the sentence I had earned. But I know when you're telling the truth now, that was not absolution. It was not even comfort. It was a door left unlocked, not open. And at my age, that was more mercy than I had earned. "I can live with that," I said. She shook her head. "No, you can start with that." Then she went upstairs. Ellen would have loved her. Ellen would have been ashamed of us all. Both things can be true. Claire filed for divorce from Mark before the month was over. Her attorney claimed she had acted to protect family assets from unresolved criminal exposure. That was Claire to the end. She could call a knife a boundary if the paperwork lined up. Mark did not fight her much. He was tired. Guilt had finally found him, and unlike Claire, it did not accept calendar invites. Lily stayed in the house with him most of the week, and with me on weekends after I moved into a smaller place near the river. I sold the old house, not because Claire wanted it, not because Mark needed money, because the house had become a museum of everything we called love, to avoid calling it cowardice. The day before closing, I walked through each room alone. The dining room where Ellen had wrapped Christmas presents. The kitchen where Lily found the badge. The den where Claire tried to turn my crime into leverage. The hallway where Mark had stood as a boy, with scraped knees and honest tears, long before we taught him fear could be managed with silence. In the empty living room, I placed Helen's photocopy on the mantel. Just for a minute. A little house, a yellow door, a girl who wanted to come home. Then I folded it and put it in my coat pocket. Some objects are not yours, but some punishments are. Before I left, Mark came by. He looked older than he had a month earlier. That is what truth does when it cannot make you better quickly. It at least makes lying less comfortable. I wrote to Helen, he said. What did you say? That I was sorry our family kept taking from hers. Good. I didn't ask for a response. Better. He looked around the empty room. Did Mom know you'd sell it? Your mother knew me better than I did. So probably. He nodded. Then, after a long silence, he said, Do you still love me? There it was, the old question, the family trap. Yes, I said. His shoulders dropped. I let him have one breath. Then I said, But love is no longer my excuse. He took that like a man trying not to fall. Progress, not redemption. Progress. I moved into a second-floor apartment with loud pipes, a cracked sidewalk, and a kitchen too small for two people to lie in comfortably. I liked it. A man should live in a place that matches what he can honestly claim. On my first night there, Lily came over with takeout. Chinese food, too much of it. Ellen would have approved. We ate from cartons because I had not unpacked plates. Halfway through dinner, Lily pointed with her chopsticks at the cardboard box on the counter. What's in there? Old things. Bad old or regular old? Both. She opened it without asking. Like her grandmother. Inside were a few photographs, Ellen's recipe cards, my retirement plaque, and the photocopy Helen had given me. Lily picked it up. Read the words. I want to come home. She placed it back carefully. Then she looked at me. Is that your punishment? One of them. How many do you have? At my age. A respectable collection. She almost smiled. Almost. Then she said, Don't hide them from me. I won't. I mean it. I know. No, Grandpa. I mean if you're sad. If you're scared, if Dad disappoints you, if I ask something and the answer makes you look bad, don't protect me from the truth and call it love. There are moments when a child becomes the oldest person in the room. That was one. I promise, I said. She studied me. Try not to make promises like police reports. Sharp girl, fair girl. I nodded. I'll practice. Months passed. The Mara Ellis case never became what Helen deserved. Patrick was dead. Witnesses were gone. Evidence had decayed. Memory had grown old and unreliable, which is one of the many ways time helps the guilty. But the official report changed. That mattered. Not enough. Enough to be recorded. Mara Ellis was no longer listed as a voluntary missing adult. Her file now stated suspected homicide, investigative misconduct, and evidence suppression. Ugly words, honest ones. Helen sent no thank you. Good. I did not want one. Mark began going to meetings, debt counseling, therapy. Words I had once considered soft until I saw what men became without them. Claire left the state. Florida, I think. A place where paperwork can wear sunglasses. Lily kept visiting, every Thursday when she could. She still asked one question. Some were small. Did Grandma like Chinese food? Only when she was too tired to pretend she wanted salad. Some were not. Do you think Dad is weak because of you? Yes. Do you think I am? No. How do you know? Because you asked. She accepted that for the moment. Children do not need all answers to be final. They need adults to stop pretending the first answer is clean. 1 year after Lily found the badge, I went to the police memorial downtown, not for officers, for Mara. There was no plaque for her there. There should not have been. She had not worn a uniform. She had not taken an oath. She had simply trusted the world badly enough to meet the wrong man, and then trusted the law badly enough to be failed by me. I carried two things in a paper bag, my retirement plaque, and the photocopy Helen had given me. I want to come home. I sat on a bench for almost an hour. People walked past me without looking. That is one kindness age gives you. After a certain point, strangers stop expecting you to matter. Then I stood, walked to the department museum entrance, and placed my retirement plaque in the donation bin outside. No note, no speech, no final performance. Just a man returning a lie to the building that had framed it. Hunterable surface. Those two words faced up from the bin for a moment. Then the lid swung closed. Not because it fixed anything, because some objects do not deserve a shelf. When I got home, Lily was waiting at my kitchen table. She had Chinese food, 2 paper plates, and the look of a girl who had inherited too many questions from people who should have left her money instead. "Dad said you got rid of the plaque," she said. "He talks fast. Did it help?" "No." "Then why do it?" I took off my coat and sat across from her. "Because I got tired of dusting a compliment I didn't earn." She looked at me for a long time. "That sounds like something you'd say at the end of a movie." "Too much." "A little." I almost smiled. She was good for me. Then she pushed 1 carton of noodles toward me. "Try again," she said. So I did. I gave back the plaque because I can't give Mara back her life. Lily nodded once. "That's better." We ate in silence for a while. Then she said, "Grandpa?" "Yes. I don't know if I forgive you." "I know. But I know when you're telling the truth now. That was not absolution. It was not even comfort. It was a door left unlocked, not open. And at my age, that was more mercy than I had earned. After she left, I placed Helen's photocopy on the kitchen table. A little house, a yellow door, a girl who wanted to come home. Then I did the last cold thing. I took the framed photograph of myself in uniform off the wall. The one Ellen had kept in the hallway for 26 years. The one Mark used to point at when he was little and tell people his father caught bad guys. I removed the photograph from the frame, folded it once, then again, not angrily, carefully, like evidence. I put it in the same box as the court papers. Then I hung the empty frame back on the wall. That empty frame stayed there. People who visited asked why. I told them the truth. Because some men spend their lives inside a picture they do not deserve. My granddaughter found my old police badge in my son's safe. Everyone thought the badge was the secret. It was not. The badge was only metal. The secret was that I had spent 30 years believing the worst thing a man could do was betray his family. I was wrong. The worst thing a man can do is protect his family so completely that he teaches them truth is optional. I gave Helen the badge. I gave the department back the plaque. I left the frame empty, and I gave Lily the only inheritance I had left that might not rot in her hands. The truth. Late, ugly, unprofitable, but finally standing in the room without needing me to protect it. My name is Walter Brennan. I was a detective. I was a husband. I was a father. I was a liar with a badge. And if there is mercy left for men like me, it does not arrive as forgiveness. It arrives as a child at your kitchen table, asking one more question than you can survive, and waiting to see if this time you love her enough not to lie. The frame is still empty. That is the most honest picture I own.